Good afternoon, dear student, and I hope you are doing well at your workplace after the completion of your basically the course. And once again, I am here with you for the session of supply chain analytics, in which we will talk about the careers perspective in supply chain analytics. Because if we study a lot of subject in management, there are different scopes which is for you, but it's all depend upon the approach. How do you see the subject? So supply chain analytics, in which if we talk about the previous class and from introduction to the basically all modules in which we have studied a lot. I have already shared a PPT of 5 modules in which we discuss a lot about the practical approach of the subject. And after completion of the basically syllabus of the course, we should talk about the carriers, what kind of carrier supply chain analytics has, because it has evolved area. The supply chain analytics is basically replaces the supply chain management. Altogether, this goes parallel in a way, but the technology has advanced. The trend is basically changed, and accordingly, we have to change our approach as well in the field of marketing. So, without basically taking too much of time, let's start with the basically what kind of a scope as a carrier in the supply chain analytics altogether can be possible. So let's say it's a carrier scope in supply chain analytics. Being a student, you have studied lots of subject, but it is integral, or you can say the basically the subject initially was the operation management, but now the day it has evolved like a course. Earlier in the previous class, I have already mentioned that the B business school, that basically the institution like IIM has basically offered to the student as a basically supply chain analytics as a course. Why? And we can understand basically the vastness of the basically and the versatility of the subject. So the things is which we have to understand. Supply chain analytics is a relatively new field in sense of the basically the supply chain that rapidly growing in popularity. And analytics we have already done. It's a computational analysis. The computer has evolved. The technology has evolved. The digitalization is in the business has entered into the business. And when we talk about the analytics, it is a computational analysis of the data and the document that has to be put in a professional manner for basically the predictive analysis for in fact correcting your budget and improving in the future as well. So data is a collection of information. Information in the last, again I am reminding you, the information which we have is not what we need, and the information we need is not what we want, and the information we want is not available. So analytics play a very good role in that part. They sorted out basically the data as per their requirements, and certainly this has some research involved. So in this way, we have to think the EDI has evolved, the ERP is there, and the software that basically works for the supply chain analytics. There are lots of basically software. So human resource, basically enterprise resource planning or electronic document interchange or data interchange has already talked. But in this way, what we have learned? We have learned that only the management has replaced by the analytics part. Analytics, again, it is nothing. It is a computational analysis of the data. So that without basically talking too much on that part, if we basically relate ourselves as in a scope. So that we can say that supply chain analytics is certainly a new field, new field that is rapidly growing in popularity with the advent of big data. Big data is going to be the important role, and there is an increasing demand for professionals who can analyze large data sets and identify trends and the pattern as well. Supply chain analytics professionals play a vital role in today's economy. They help businesses optimize their operations, make better decisions, that we have studied in the predictive analysis, in fact, about their supply chain. If you are interested in a career in supply chain data analytics, there are a few things which is basically important to know. And the first things that is you will need to have a strong analytical skill. You must be able to understand and interpret data sets and identify trends and patterns. It's a completely, the approach which we have in the academic. Already said the supply chain management or supply chain analytics is properly used in the parliamentary board or media reports. So the importance has taken place here. So what is the first thing which you have in your basically mind while the analytics, when you basically look into the careers of supply chain analytics? The analytical skills, the way you think, you must be able to understand and interpret the data. And accordingly, management has basically given you basically two types of basically the key roles. The first is the forward planning and the decision making. The second things which you have to understand is you should be familiar with the various software program. Maybe you will learn a lot of in your life in future. So try to, if you are looking for the basically career in supply chain analytics, you have to learn the softwares. There are lots of various software, because software only basically analyze the data. And the third, you should be familiar with the various optimization methods and techniques. So in this way, these three areas where you have to work. And when we talk about the careers, basically in terms of position, the name is a supply chain planner. You can be a supply chain planner, senior consultant supply chain analytics, supply chain analytics inventory as well, supply chain networks data and analytics specialist, junior operational analyst. So these are the basically careers where you can see yourself in terms of careers. There is a vast number of industries like consumers goods, large retails and e-commerce business across India and the world, where professional can use their analytical skill in supply chain management as well. So thank you. I hope after all the modules, I have one expectation from you, all of you, that change your approach. Certainly you are studying these days for the academic, but change your approach and look into the practical part of the subject. You will find something different in the subject, and hope the classes which we have conducted in this few days, it probably help you to enhance your skills and the knowledge. So thank you once again, and I hope for your better career. Thank you so much.